Okay, for this task, you're going to need a few different things. You're going to need some conductive thread, a battery holder, an LED light, a battery, and a piece of felt to actually attach it all to, and a needle in order to sew your thread through. What we're going to do is we're going to put this all together to create a little LED light that has been sewn into the fabric. You're going to need some scissors for this next bit. You need to cut yourself off a piece of the conductive thread to about the length of your arm, your forearm. Then you're going to take the thread in between your fingers like so that you can thread it through the needle. So you take the needle, you find the eye of the needle, so the little hole at the top, and thread it through. It may take a couple of goes. And if it takes a couple of goes, that's okay. It's allowed to take a couple of goes. It can be quite tricky, especially if the eye of your needle isn't very big. And it should come through just like that. Now don't pull it through the whole way. You do want a nice long tail. What we're going to do at the end of the tail is we're going to pop a little knot in the end. So that's just as simple as swinging it over and back through. All right, and then if you want to pop another one in, preferably right over the top of the first one, just to make it a bit bigger. Okay, hopefully they sit right on top of each other. Okay, just like that. So now we have all the bits and pieces we need to create our little LED light pattern. So I'm going to take my little battery pack and I'm going to put it to one side of my piece of material. Okay, and that's where I want it to sit. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my thread, I'm going to come up underneath, and I'm going to go on this side over here that's towards the biggest part of the material, and I'm going to come up through that little hole there where the plus is. I'm going to come up through the little hole where the plus is until I get to the end. And what I'm going to do is very carefully, I'm going to pop that around so that it hooks over the top. Make sure I don't get any of the material caught. And then I'm going to come back up through the bottom, through that same hole, and do that so that I have that going around, the thread going around, at least 3 times. So that's number 2. And I'm going to do my best to not cross the thread over. You can see there, I haven't crossed the thread over yet. It's really important that we don't cross the thread over. Okay, so this will be the third one. It just maximizes the amount of contact for the conductivity. Now for this next bit, I'm just going to do 3 or 4 simple stitches along the ends of the material. So I'm going to come up through there, just so I get across to the other side of the material. I don't want my stitches to be too big and I don't want them to be too small. I also don't want my gaps to be too big or too small. Okay, so this will be my last little stitch. Through to the end. Okay, so now I find my LED. I've got my little LED, and you should be able to see down the bottom there's a little plus sign. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. Might be a bit close. There's a tiny little plus sign right down here where my needle's pointing. So I'll turn that around and I'll put that onto the felt, and I will make sure that I'm going from plus to plus. And I'll do the same thing that I did before. I'll come up through the bottom, up through the bottom, okay, and then around 3 times just like before. And hopefully we're not crossing over on the bottom of it either. Okay, so we've got that down the bottom. Hopefully we can come up through again without crossing over the threads. Again, just the 3 times will do the trick. Okay. Now hopefully at the bottom we don't have any threads crossing each other, and now we can knot this off. So we just grab a little bit of the material, pop the needle through until we get a nice little loop. Pop the needle through that loop, pull it nice and tight, and there you have it all knotted off. We cut off the tails, and we've done one side. So now we've done that first side. We just repeat the process for negative to negative, and then we can do the next bit. Okay, so once you've done both the positive to positive and the negative to negative, making sure not to cross over on the back, we can now pop our battery in. So we've got our little coin battery. We just pop it in the holder, like so. And then we can switch it on, and if we've done this properly, we now get the light lighting up. And that is a very simple circuit that we can use with conductive thread.